No one has told you this yet, but there's a hidden blueprint to knowing if your crush is thinking about you. The truth is, most people go their whole lives without ever picking up on these subtle signs. But today I'm going to let you in on a little secret one that could completely change the way you approach love and attraction. So, if you've ever wondered if your crush might secretly be obsessed with you, keep watching because what I'm about to reveal will make you see every interaction in a whole new light. Alright, let's get right into it. We've all been there lost in thought, wondering if that special someone is thinking about us the same way we're thinking about them. But here's the thing, you don't have to sit around guessing. There are 10 telltale signs that your crush is probably thinking about you just as much as you're thinking about them. And once you learn to spot these signals, you'll never have to wonder again. Ready? Let's dive in. 1. The eye sparkle. First up, we need to talk about the eyes. They're often called the windows to the soul for a reason. But here's the thing, when it comes to attraction, the eyes don't just tell a story, they light it up. You know that moment when your crush's gaze meets yours and suddenly it feels like the whole world just got a little brighter? That's not a coincidence. If you notice that their eyes seem to sparkle or light up whenever they see you, that's a major sign that you're on their mind. Think about it like this, our bodies often betray our true emotions even when we try to hide them. That sparkle, that glimmer in their eyes is their mind's way of showing you that they're happy to see you happy because they've been thinking about you. But here's the kicker, this eye sparkle isn't just a one-time thing. If you catch them lighting up around you repeatedly, you're definitely in their thoughts more than you might realize. It's as if your presence is the highlight of their day, turning their ordinary world into something extraordinary just because you're in it. 2. The smile that says it all. Next up, let's talk about smiles. Now, I'm not talking about the polite, everyday smile we give to strangers or acquaintances. No, this is different. It's that uncontrollable smile, the one that spreads across their face the moment you walk into the room. You know what I'm talking about, right? The kind of smile that makes you feel like you're the only person in the world. If your crush can't help but smile every time they see you, that's more than just a nice gesture. It's pure happiness, unfiltered and genuine, and it's a clear sign that you're on their mind. Here's a pro tip, pay attention to when they smile. Is it immediate, like they can't even stop themselves? Does it linger longer than usual? A real heartfelt smile is one of the hardest things to fake, so if you see it, know that it's coming from a place of true affection. Hold up, quick question, have you ever caught your crush smiling at you like this? If so, drop a comment below and tell me what it was like. I bet there's a good story behind it. 3. Flowing conversations. Let's move on to something that's often overlooked but super important, how easily your conversations flow. You ever notice how with some people, talking just feels effortless? Like, no matter what you're discussing, the conversation just keeps going, and it feels natural. Almost like you're speaking the same language without even trying. This is a massive indicator that your crush has been thinking about you. When someone is constantly thinking about you, their brain is already primed to connect with you, which is why conversations seem to flow so effortlessly. Think about it. If every chat with your crush feels like a perfectly synchronized dance, where you're both in tune, this isn't just chemistry, it's also a sign that they're mentally and emotionally engaged with you, even when you're not around. They're probably replaying your last conversation in their mind, thinking about what they'll say next time and just genuinely enjoying the connection. But here's where it gets even more interesting. If you find that your crush often picks up where you left off in a previous conversation, or if they remember small details from what you said before, that's a clear sign they've been thinking about you in between those chats. That kind of mental connection is rare and special, so if you've got it, don't let it go unnoticed. 4. Not so coincidental encounters. Now, let's talk about those coincidental meetings that happen way too often to actually be coincidences. You know what I'm talking about, those times when you just so happen to run into your crush at your favorite coffee shop, or when they randomly show up at the same party you're attending. Sure, sometimes these things really are just accidents, but more often than not, they're the result of some intentional planning. Here's the deal, if your crush seems to keep popping up in places you frequent, it might be because they want to be near you, and they've been thinking about how to make that happen. Pro tip, pay attention to how often this happens. If it's a one-time thing, maybe it's just luck. But if you find them appearing in your usual spots regularly, that's no accident. They've been thinking about you, planning ways to see you, and finding opportunities to make that connection happen. If you've ever had one of those totally not planned encounters with your crush, hit that like button. I'm curious to see how many of us have experienced this. And hey, share your story in the comments. Those coincidences might be more intentional than you think. 5. attention to the little things. Now, this is one of the biggest giveaways that your crush has been thinking about you. When someone is really into you, they pay attention to the details, those little things you mention in passing, the subtle changes in your appearance, or the random interests you have. It's like they're mentally taking notes because every piece of information about you is valuable to them. Think about it, how many times have you mentioned something small like a favorite song or a random hobby, and later found out that your crush remembered it, maybe even brought it up again? That's no accident. They're storing those details away because you're on their mind more often than you know. Here's where it gets even more interesting. It's not just about remembering facts, it's about how they use that information. If your crush surprises you by mentioning something you didn't expect them to remember, or if they go out of their way to incorporate your interests into a conversation, that's a huge sign they've been thinking about you. It shows that they're not just listening, they're engaged, interested, and invested in knowing you better. 6. Unexpected messages. Let's talk about those random messages that seem to come out of nowhere. You know, the ones a quick hey, how's your day going? Text, a funny meme, or a late night message just to check in. These little nudges aren't just casual, there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. When someone reaches out to you unexpectedly, it's because you've been on their mind and they just couldn't resist the urge to connect. Think about it, they could have messaged anyone, but they chose you. That's significant. But wait, there is more. Pay attention to the timing of these messages. Are they reaching out during moments when they know you might need a little pick-me-up? Or maybe they're texting late at night when thoughts tend to be more personal and genuine. These messages are their way of saying, hey, you're important to me, without actually saying it out loud. It's their way of keeping you close, even when you're apart. 7. Those prolonged glances. Alright, let's get into something that's a little more subtle, but incredibly telling: the way your crush looks at you. I'm not just talking about a quick glance here and there. I mean those deep, lingering stares that make you feel like they're trying to see right into your soul. When someone is constantly thinking about you, their eyes tend to linger a little longer, as if they're trying to memorize every detail of your face. It's like they're drinking you in, storing up those images for when you're not around. Here's a tip: next time you're with your crush, pay attention to how often you catch them staring at you when they think you're not looking. If you notice that their gaze lingers, that they're watching you with a kind of intensity, that's a surefire sign they're thinking about you more than you realize. They might not even know they're doing it, but their eyes are revealing what their heart is feeling. 8. Talking about you to others. Now, this one is huge. If your crush is talking about you to other people, you've definitely made a lasting impression on them. Whether they're casually dropping your name in conversations or proudly sharing your accomplishments, it's a sign that you're on their mind a lot more than just when you're together. This kind of talk doesn't just happen. People don't usually bring up others unless they're thinking about them often. What's even better, pay attention to the context. Are they mentioning you in a positive light? Maybe they're telling their friends about something cool you did, or maybe they're just bringing you up in conversation because, well, they can't help it. Either way, this is a clear indicator that you're occupying a significant amount of mental space in their life. Quick poll, who here has ever heard through the grapevine that their crush has been talking about them? Let me know in the comments. These stories are always so fun to hear. 9. Closing the distance. Alright, let's get a little closer literally. One of the biggest signs that your crush is thinking about you is how often they try to close the physical distance between you. Whether it's sitting closer than usual, finding excuses to be near you, or even just leaning in when you're talking, this is their way of breaking down barriers. Physical proximity is one of the strongest indicators of interest, and if your crush is constantly trying to be closer, it's because they're drawn to you in more ways than one. Here's something to watch for. If they're always finding ways to touch you, maybe a light brush of the hand, a playful nudge, or even just standing a little too close, that's a sign they're comfortable with you and probably thinking about you a lot more than you realize. It's like their body is naturally gravitating towards you, seeking out that connection. 10. That sixth sense. Finally, we come to the most subtle yet powerful sign of all, the sixth sense. You know, that gut feeling, that unshakable hunch that you're on someone's mind. It's hard to explain, but it's real. Sometimes your intuition picks up on things that your conscious mind can't quite grasp. If you've ever just felt like your crush was thinking about you, even without any clear signs, trust that feeling. There's a reason you're picking up on that vibe. Here's the truth: when someone is thinking about you, especially with strong emotions, that energy often finds a way to reach you, even if it's just through a feeling. It's like your heart knows something your brain hasn't figured out yet. So if you can't shake that gut feeling that you're on their mind, you probably are. So there you have it, minus 10 undeniable signs that your crush can't stop thinking about you. Love and attraction are often a game of subtleties, and these signals are the keys to unlocking the truth. Now that you're armed with this knowledge, you can navigate your next interactions with confidence and maybe even a little more insight into what's really going on. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more insights like these. And hey, if you've noticed any of these signs from your crush, or if you have a story to share, drop it in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going.